Welcome back to Dark Void, and now it's finally time to get to
Into the
part.
void?
Yeah.
So is X-Death involved?
Wait for the
I
next
wish.
part, actually.
Wait, really?
Why is there a Sky Giant in the... whatever, you were saying,
Anyway,
Joe?
it's time for actually finally have the selling point of the entire fucking game. The main jetpack, the one we tested in the tutorial.
It took us long enough to get here.
Yay!
Right there? Ah, that's not safe.
You know, why is it that this and Anthem, one of the worst games of 2019 already, have this in common? Like, it seems to be an honor among thieves that a lot of terrible games share qualities.
You'll kill yourself.
Honestly, Joe, considering the setting and everything, this, aside from Uncharted, considering the design of Will, it kind of reminds me a bit of BJ Blazkowicz. I think we wanted to go also for a Wolfenstein vibe.
Hey, sort of like Bionic Commando was doing at the time.
Kinda.
Gotta try.
Well, hey, look at the bright side. At least his jetpack isn't his wife or something.
Anyway, this is gonna be our playground to test the jetpack, basically.
Oh, here goes nothing.
Yeah, Joe, but I wonder who actually came up with that part of the Bionic Commando. Could you imagine Ben Judd saying, by the way, we need his mechanical be his missus?
It feels like they were trying to rip off Castlevania, only Castlevania had more of a reason for the wit to hold the soul of the elder Belmont.
I really, when it comes to free flight and everything, I really like these controls. They're actually very responsive, and the camera never steps in your way, that kind of way.
You know, the game were all this, you know, just letting you do this open world stuff while also having ground
If they dropped
gameplay.
the TPS component and just made it full Ace Combat, but with jetpacks, it would have been probably turned out to be way better.
Like, here's an idea. Give us open world segments of this, you know? I mean, obviously not every section needs to be open world, but do sort of like what Crash Insanity would do. Just with the jetpack here and there.
One down, two to go.
You know what's you'll be interested, Joe, but they probably do a better job with the jetpack than Naughty Dog.
This thing's got some firepower.
Yeah,
Well, that
Traveler's
was
Tale will do something better than Naughty Dog.
That was experiment. You have to remember that was experimental, and Crash 2 was conceived as a platformer first, and the other vehicle segments were mostly, again, experimental. I honestly, even if they're different games, I honestly think the motorcycle sections in Crash 3 are worse than the jetpack sections in Crash 2.
Oh,
honestly.
you know what's a sad thing is like, well, as
Also, sorry, another thing. When you tilt, the camera follows you, so it can give you also like an upside-down perspective. You don't change it too much. Again, I really like how they handle the controls and these sections about this jetpack. Why couldn't the game be more about this with more variety and everything?
it's almost like we stepped into a different game with how varying the levels of quality are. That said, though,
But no,
unfortunately...
it's still one team doing it.
Yeah, why did they call it the double A?
Where's the AAA gun?
Because it's
No,
a motor.
this game wasn't AAA in it.
Apparently there are some prisoners that we want to escape, but there's a force field around the prison, so we need to shut it down.
To infinity and beyond.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking, folks. Squirm, you really like these parts of the game, so why do you think this game is still terrible?
Well, that's the I can
No, this
explain.
game has no atmosphere. I mean, this kind of thing in a game only really works when the game has a strong atmosphere.
That's also not the major problem is also that for the flight controls, your enemy variety is extremely limited. You get one type of enemy and one or two boss fights.
So
That's
essentially-
literally it. Other than that, it's only fighting the same type of enemies over and over and over in similar areas between each other. So there is a good conception here and a robust bone, but the meat around it is too little and not tasty. Sorry for the food analogy, but I think that's the one that it works.
Yeah, it pretty much works. It's sort of like the worst of a Phase 1 MCU movie. Great concepts here and there. The problem is that it has
I
lacking
actually haven't
filling.
seen that much of the Iron Man games, Drova. How are the flight controls for those?
From what I recall, they're fine enough. The keyword being fine.
I
They aren't
remember
the
Dark
best.
Shadows review of one of them, but I don't remember much of it.
Let me put it like this, though. It really does feel like the stigma of the Phase
Also,
1
look,
video
check this
games.
out.
Oh.
But, like, every time you need to get into one of these towers, you need to destroy one of the consoles.
so
like
we're
that.
taking the Shadow the Hedgehog approach.
Kinda, and the animation is so stupid because Will literally use it, the gun is smashed it like that every single time. So limited.
Right.
But anyway, continue, Jova.
Yeah, I mean, again, it really just pained me that a lot of the time video games got wasted on Phase 1 of the MCU.
Oh shit!
because
It's the portal. It's the blue portal into the sky thing from comic book movies.
well,
Kinda.
it's not just comic book movies, but loads of movies love to do a portal into the sky. Also, okay, seriously, dude, why do you have to do it like this? Why not just fly up?
Unfortunately, the jetpack doesn't work on a complete vertical level, only on a horizontal one, which gives a quote-unquote excuse to use the ramping up moments like this. The good thing is that since you have the jetpack, like I mentioned, it also means that you can propel yourself upward from the platform instead of just going down and down again. Also, another thing that it came out, I just thought about it like 1 or 2. Oh, hold on. First, I need to say this. Okay, pay attention. Hold on. I need to get out. Now I need to get out of here before it explodes. Okay, in this moment, I had to turn the volume down because the explosion sound effect was so loud that my Elgato broke consistently 3 times when I was recording this part.
Wow.
I don't know why. It's only for this point in the game.
It's bad sound mixing. Remember too, I had a similar problem, except it was visual, with recording the Sonic 4 Episode 1 beta on the Wii. Because the problem with that beta is that, because it was a beta, they didn't finish up the video signal programming, meaning the video signal had a little green thingy. You can see it now. I'll put it for people know.
Yeah. No, I remember. I did watch those.
It's bad. It's bad quality. Whoever did the sound mixing on this thing needs to be fired, because at least the Sonic 4 Episode 1 beta has the excuse of being a beta, because the final Wii version doesn't have that problem. What's this game's excuse?
Anyway, let me quickly explain this. The dogfights work relatively similar to your traditional Ace Combat game. However, you can also have the ability to quote-unquote grab the enemy with the circle button. Will jump on the ship like you're seeing, then he needs to bait the turret into firing on the position, and then break up the control panel so you can take on the pilot directly. Just mash the right level, the left stick, and then will just kill the pilot and assume direct control of the ship. Then you can pilot at your leisure. Again, it's pretty cool as a mechanic. Also, the fact that with L2, if you keep holding L2, you block on the target, and by moving around with the jetpack, you can reposition yourself to adjust your aim. Again, everything designed around this mechanic is extremely solid. It's a shame that it's attached to a game that had so little budget and was afraid of not appeasing to the crowd, so they needed to resort to ripping off something else in order to do it. Because otherwise they would have much more appreciation for this.
Funny how they tried to, appeal to the mass crowd, but ended up not appealing to the mass crowd by trying to appeal to the mass crowd. It's almost like this was oversaturated. Oh wait, it was.
Not just that. This product, this doesn't even feel like it was made by some kind of creator with a vision. It just feels like it was completely market tested into creation by a bunch of executives.
I think, okay, when it comes to the jetpack gameplay, it does feel like it was with somebody with a vision, but everything else, I agree with you, doesn't feel like it has much of a vision. Except for maybe the story. Of course, the story is kind of your typical, hey, this happened in old days, kind of like
It gets
Wolfenstein.
stupider, let's just say that, Jova.
Let me put it like this.
Or just stupid.
Let me put it like this.
I'll let you be the judge. And you also, by the way, need to remember that this is technically the team's first game. It's not an excuse, mind you, but it's also the fact that it may be a possible reason why they also were not trusted that much. Keep in mind though, and this kind of explains how the air controls were so precise. This is basically, maybe this can interest you. They were made by people who were part of a team who did the Crimson Skies High Road to Revenge on the Xbox, a game centered around dogfighting with planes.
Wait, not the original Crimson Skies?
No, apparently it's this one. But apparently people from that team left off and founded Airtight Games.
Oh my god.
Yes, sir?
You know what's funny? That part where you're going into the ship, you know what this reminds me of? War for Cybertron. Like, you know what's funny? I just realized War for Cybertron has a segment like this where you're playing as the flying Decepticons. Funnily enough, they actually do control a lot like the jetpack while in jet form. While in robot form, they can also hover, sort of like how Will's doing here. I've just realized that this just... I think the major problem is like, well, this kind of feels like a watered-down War for Cybertron, weird as it may sound.
That's the oddest thing though, Tio. So far, ever since Crimson Skies 2, we've been getting a whole lot of stuff inspired by that, but not either a Crimson Skies 3 or a full sequel. As Ace Combat truly dominated the
that robot
genre.
That's the thing with Sega stopped making afterburner games, so yes. Technically, yes.
Okay.
Anyway,
congratulations, Babco. You
anyway, this is our next boss fight, the Archon. If you don't remember, it's basically that model of robot that destroyed the guy we were controlling in the tutorial.
If I'm to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the design of those bosses. Like seriously,
They're bland. They're Sonic 06 tier. A design of robots,
I'm gonna be honest, Tio. I actually found the robots in Sonic 06 more appealing. Like, the design of this robot baffles me. Why would you make something that... Huh?
Which robot from 06 specifically? I missed that.
Honestly, I find almost any of the robots in 06 more appealing than this. Like, because, okay, from a design point, this robot doesn't make sense. Why would you make your mech have to walk on its knuckles? Like, literally on its knuckles. Like, it's like all of its hands are that of a gorilla.
Because it looks like a predatory animal, don't you know, Jova?
No, I can see what Jova means, because aside from the X Cerberus, all of the big robot segment has fly. Like a Genesis can fly, the Egg Wyvern can fly. So yeah, technically they're more practical than this.
Like,
the cool thing about
the
cool thing about this is that you can take down in two different ways. They still involve QTEs, but one of them is deactivating the reactor on the back and then destroying the pilot. The other instead is placing it on the front and literally making it explode by jamming its laser system. So there is some small variety how you take down these things, but don't get used to it and you don't fight too much of them. So at least it doesn't become stale. But continue, Jova.
Oh no, wait, why was that a lizard? Shouldn't that lizard be in a
pilot.
Well, shouldn't he have been in a robot suit or something? Like, isn't it the robot suits that give them increased intelligence
the
or something?
Archon is the robot suit, Jova.
Okay, why not just put them in pilot of that while they're in their own robot suit?
We'll unload these prisoners back in camp.
Because
I mean,
that would make
Anyway,
sense.
we let the prisoners escape.
I mean, okay, I hate to say it, I feel like maybe making them lizards was a bit superfluous to the plot.
Her name's Ava.
Oh, believe me, Jova,
They think it looks cool.
stupider.
Oh, goody. How?
Like, the only suggestion that they give you, prepare your tinfoil
I'm gonna
hats.
see if I can catch up.
Oh
dear.
god, that bad?
Good luck.
You'll see. For now, the prisoners told us that there is a tunnel that leads to a possible thing where Ava may have gone, so we might as well check it out.
Yeah, that's right, Ava got in the ship.
Yep. So it's time to go down.
Down.
To
Lots
the-
above the sea.
Where our salty friends SpongeBob waits for you and me.
But Joe, we're not underwater. How can there be SpongeBob?
Maybe at this rate we'll be going underwater of how long this tunnel freaking goes.
It's like that joke in the Goonies with Data that says, "Come on, if we keep going, we end up visiting my grandma in China."
The Goonies. Why do I keep thinking that was Spielberg? He didn't direct that one, did he?
He was involved with it, Dweebs.
And it's incredibly Spielberg-esque.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those movies. Ones that are known for having that guy involved, even though he wasn't the director.
It really, yeah, it's kind of like Devil with M. Night Shyamalan. He technically didn't direct it and supposedly didn't write it, But that plot has his fingerprints all over it.
Or Stuart Little.
Oh my god,
Spider-Man
that
Shyamalan wrote technically the Stuart Little movie.
he did, yeah.
What?
Yeah, Shiro.
Yeah, believe it or not, Troy Shyamalan is actually the writer of Stuart Little.
Wait,
Yes,
Really?
for a non-Shyamalan example, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
True.
Well, the thing is, Shiroi, he was only one of 3 writers, to be fair.
But the thing is, like,
there at all.
yes, he was actually apparently he's credited as the lead writer, and believe it or not, people actually speak like actual people in that movie. You know,
For
just
the most part,
True,
there
yeah,
are
for the
certain
most part.
moments you can tell. There are certain moments in the movie that you can tell were written by Shyamalan.
You know, guys, you know what you were saying
Yeah.
about this game? You know, you have people behind it who normally do a lot of good work and have the and have a big thing behind them, but they really don't manage to accomplish it at the end. They're like Barcelona today.
huh.
Okay.
I mean,
Anyway,
They basically, for context, they were winning 3-0 on aggregate. They lost 4-3 and got.
well, Luis, that shit happens kind of all the time. Even if I don't know that much about the sport, even I know that at some point there was one time where AC Milan actually fell into the trap in one Champions League.
Yeah. I think that was. I can't remember who that was against, but I'm pretty sure I remember that happening.
Anyway, for context also, because I mentioned it only briefly while we were cleaning up this room, Airtight Games, after this game, they made a bunch of games that were self-published games that nobody honestly really care about, because they're not that much. Like, one's called Pixel, one Derp Bike, and one Soul Cured. But one other major games that they did, like it was in 2012, a puzzle game called Quantum Conundrum. You may have heard of it, and Square Enix published it, of all people. I actually remembered it. I tried the demo back in the day when it came out. It was okay, nothing special, but okay. And then in 2014, unfortunately, they did the Murder Soul Suspect, still with Square Enix. It wasn't what we were hoped for. If you watch our the Quiet Man playthrough, I told you that it's part of the supposed standalone Square Enix trilogy of just weird games that they published and ended up being recent games that they published and ended up being worse than they should have been, along with Mindjack, for example. And after that, the studio unfortunately closed, and everyone was fired. None of the people involved actually went on and joined other studios after this. It's pretty much a sad tale.
Go figure.
Well.
Well, there is something that good that came out of this game, believe it or not.
What?
A sequel slash spin-off called Dark Void Zero.
Oh, that's right, Dark Void Zero. I actually have it on Steam, but I only tried it briefly. Basically, I wanted to talk about it during the fan pods, but I might as well mention it briefly here. Basically, there was Airtight Games didn't do it though.
It was Other Ocean Interactive.
Yeah. The guys who are doing currently the Medieval remake, for
Wait,
example.
seriously? Those same guys? Holy cow.
Yep. But
Other Ocean as basically started off as one of those.
anyway, what? Wait, we were on an island. We went underground, and now we're opened up in a canyon in the middle of nowhere with falls and everything. So what is going on?
Oh, let me guess. Another world that we somehow went through some interdimensional tunnel for.
Think stupider, Jova.
Yeah.
Time travel?
Not John Carter, is it?
No. Think more like Indiana Jones 4.
Aliens?
Okay, I believe you.
Well, okay. To be fair, we already knew that they were...
Dead. Will should be dead by this, but he survives it.
He didn't even get a scratch or a bruise on that. Come on.
They couldn't even get the Nolan North screen right. Jesus.
To be continued on Dark Void.
Yeah, see you for the next part where the plot really starts showing its colors, and boy, let's just say it becomes a weird fest, to say the least.
This
See ya.
ought to be fun. See you then.
See ya.